Before I start, I do want to thank a few people. I'd like to start off by thanking Tom Bowen for his help, always being accessible to us as a staff and to our kids to help share his vision for this university and this program. I want to thank the faculty and staff here at the University of Memphis, many of whom shared their Saturday mornings with us and came over and spoke about their field of study and shared their experiences at University of Memphis. Bob Baker in academics does a great job, and we certainly appreciate his work. Sherry Swartz and the girls up front do a great job. I want to thank our staff and their wives. There's a lot of work that goes into this and a lot of sacrifices on the home front, and we certainly do appreciate them. I also want to thank Al LaRocca and Fred Smith for helping us with some transportation things throughout recruiting. So that being said, we're excited about this staff, as I'm sure, about this signing class. We're encouraged. I think it's another step in the right direction of building our football program, from skill kids to offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and secondary players. We had a large, I think you can tell, we had a pretty big emphasis on offensive linemen and skill kids on offense. We had a pretty big emphasis on defensive backfield and linebackers on defense, and we had to fill out a couple holes in the specialty area in the kicking game. So, I think in today's immediate gratification society and instant information, it's important to understand these are young guys, and we look forward to getting them in the program and putting them to work and letting them be a big part of what we're doing and see in 2 or 3 years how they're playing for us. So that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
I'd ask for you to raise your hand, and we're going to give you a mic for we can stream your questions as well.
Coach, you signed 5 defensive backs. Just talk about that position. Do you expect that those guys may be able to come in here and play right away? By the way, Marcus Hunter with Fox 13.
Yeah, we're going to throw it out there and let guys go compete for jobs. I don't want any freshmen to come in and just assume that he's going to be redshirted. I want them to prepare as if they're going to go play, and then we'll see how it works out. We'll play them as much as they're ready to play. Whether it be in the defensive backfield or at running back or quarterback or any other position. I think it's easier for the skill group to play earlier, just in football generally, than it is for offensive, defensive linemen to play early. So I look forward to facilitating some of the competition that comes with depth. I think competition is huge in anything, whether it be competing for a playing time on the football field or a job in journalism or whatever it is. Competition, I think, brings out the best in all of us. So I'm looking forward to the added depth, and we'll just kind of see how it plays out.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, the depth at running back in particular, because you did add about 4 people there.
Yeah, we made it a pretty big emphasis for us to go out and sign some guys at the tailback position. I'm excited about Brandon Hayes and what he did for us, but we need to continue to upgrade at that spot. I think it's a very important spot, and you look at the guys that we brought in, I think they all have a little bit different skill set, which excites me. Some guys can do a little bit of everything, move in and out of the backfield, and still carry the ball. Some guys are a little bit bigger guys that are more true tailback type players. So it was a pretty big emphasis and something that I'm pretty pleased about who's coming aboard.
What did you learn about recruiting at Memphis and to Memphis during this experience, about who you can get, who you can't get? Obviously, this is a pool in which lots of folks fish here in Memphis. And so just broadly, what are your thoughts on that? And will you do it any differently, or is it a growing, do you hope to change the, talk about that?
Sure. Well, I think it's important for a couple things here at home. I think it's important that we do a good job developing the relationships in the community with high school coaches and families. And then I think that through time, you'll continue to gain that trust in the community. I think it's important that you zero in on some guys that you think fit exactly what you want. The local kids that we sign, I want to turn right back around and put forward in the community to help younger kids as they come up through the ranks. And I think it's important that the guys that we bring in from here are capable of doing that with good conscience, you can turn them around and put them in front of other young men and women and hope that they can help us make a little bit of a difference. As far as, there's no secret. There's good athletes here. There are a lot of people that come here to recruit players, and I think you draw a bullseye on the guys that you really want to try and go get, and you get some of them, like we did, and you don't get some of them, and that's just the way it is. But I think through time you'll continue to see us sign, evaluate, and recruit the right type of guy to kind of be a spokesperson for our program.
What's Braden Scott bring?
Well, Braden is a young quarterback, okay, which is a good thing. He's a big kid. He's got some strength. He will become a very big, strong quarterback. But he's also a guy that is should be in high school right now. So he's going through off-season workouts right now, and he's doing a fine job. But he's also trying to find out where his classes are, where the weight room is, what he's supposed to be doing next, all those things that come with that transition. So I'm encouraged by Braden. He's done a good job in his time he's here. I'm looking forward to getting him out there and working with him. I just think there's just a big transition for Braden, and I'm looking forward to going about it slowly and making sure we develop him the right way.
Justin, as you go now with this class, as I ask you to forecast out to next year, can you talk about that running back and quarterback situation in terms of, who might get those jobs going through spring and summer with you?
Well, I think, the couple things just as the football coach that I look at are we have some guys in there to go compete for jobs. And how it's going to turn out, I don't know. I know that the opportunity is there for young people to come in and play. Now, that being said, we're not going to treat anybody any differently, whether they come in this class or they were already here. But we are going to open it up every single position for competition. We're going to open up the quarterback job in the spring, and I assume probably into the summer. We'll just see how it goes, and let Paxton Lynch go compete, let Eric go compete, let Jake and Braden go compete for reps and compete for the job in the same way that we'll do when the young running backs get here. We're going to throw them out there and let them go and see kind of how it falls out.
Coach, Sam Kraft, he plans on playing football and basketball. What kind of a role do you see him being on the football team for you?
I see him playing the position with the ball, whatever position that is. Obviously we've got a special relationship with Sam and his family. His dad was a wonderful player here. Exactly the type of person that I was alluding to earlier from here in this community that I think can have an effect on young people. Where and what he does for us, we'll just see. I think he has a large skill set that transposes well into what we'd like to become offensively, from catching the ball to running the ball to maybe even throwing it some. So we'll just kind of see. I don't want to build up guys too much. They're all young guys, but obviously he's somebody that I'm excited about. I'm happy he chose to come to the University of Memphis, and I think he came here for all of the right reasons, and looking forward to getting him here.
Coach, you're very familiar with the Oklahoma area. You signed some guys from there. Is that a state that you plan on digging into in future classes more?
Well, I think that part of the country, the Oklahoma-Texas part, is a place. We want to take care of Memphis and the surrounding communities first, and then I think with the move to the Big East Conference, kind of widening the footprint of the University of Memphis, just as the university, along with the athletic department, allows us to get into some of those other areas. Obviously, we have connections in Oklahoma and Texas, so that makes things a little bit easier. I think we'll always at least try and get down there and and see what we can find. So I would anticipate us continuing to do that. We're not going to set a number on it from year to year or anything like that, but it's a place that will continue to have a presence.
When you talk about sending folks back into the community, kids back into the community, is that to sort of to prove to other kids in the area that Memphis is a place where they can come and flourish and
Well, I think that's part of it, but I think the bigger reason is just for our program. You know, we have, without boring you all to tears, we have 4 pillars of our program, and one of them is social responsibility. And we have a responsibility in this community. I have a responsibility, our assistant coaches, and our players do. And we do our best to try and live up to that responsibility. Sometimes we fall short. But I think it's important that we recognize that, and we, not just to go out and recruit other kids, but to serve as an example of what you can accomplish, you know, through hard work, dedication, doing things the right way. I think is maybe a little bit the bigger picture.
Talking about 2 sport athletes, there's a guy who plays basketball, Shaq Goodwin. Have you talked to Josh about borrowing him? Because when he signed last year, he had talked about playing football as well.
I have talked to Josh. I've promised him a lot of things too, if he could send Shaq our way. But in all seriousness, we're gonna let Shaq concentrate on basketball, and you know, we may have another conversation in the future. But for right now, he's getting pretty good at shooting hoops, and we're not gonna mess with that right now.
Coach, obviously, the move to the Big East was something that you guys were able to sell to recruits. But when things started to go and some teams started to leave the Big East, did it make that harder when you were trying to sell those recruits on you guys being in the Big East?
Well, I don't think so. You know, there is some uncertainty in all of college athletics right now. There's no question about that. And there's some uncertainty exactly what the Big East is going to look like. You know, I'm not really sure. I'm pretty sure, you know, I know we're going to be in it, and I know there's some other people that are going to be in it, and where it finally ends up, you know, I'm not exactly positive of who's going to be in it. The bottom line is it's a member of the club, and you know that's where we're going to be. And you know, I think you'll continue to see as things eventually stabilize us being able to continue to capitalize when we're actually in the league, when we're actually playing games in the league, when we're, you know, as we get older and more mature, we're competing in the league. People start to be able to identify with it a little bit more as we go on.
Can you talk a little bit about Jackson Dillon and kind of what skill sets he brings?
Well, Jackson is an interesting athlete. I grew up watching his dad play at the University of Oklahoma. Our offensive line coach played at Oklahoma State and played against him when he was at Oklahoma. So we had a little bit of a inroad there. Tim Billings was a graduate assistant at Oklahoma when his dad was playing. So there were some connections there. Jackson is a long, athletic kid that played in a small school and did about everything for Ringling. And, you know, he really fits our defense. The overhang linebacker into the boundary, the dog position is kind of the boundary linebacker spot. And we've been trying to get some more length there. Obviously, Jackson has plenty of that. But he will continue, I think, to fill out, coming from a small school where he did everything. You know, I think once he gets here and starts lifting and doing that kind of stuff, he's going to continue to fill out and be a productive guy. He really runs very well for a long guy, and a guy we're excited and fought tooth and nail to make sure we could get.
2 more things. Did you have any nervous moments around some of these guys, Jackson, Marquise Warford, or any of them? Were there nervous moments?
They're all nervous moments. There's no yes, because you know what happens is, you know, people end up late in the process and they lose guys, or they have an opening and they show up on people's doorsteps. And holding on to those guys, I think, speaks to those kids' character. We had to go, obviously, butt heads against good people, and I think it speaks volumes about our assistant coaches and their relationships. And I don't mean to oversimplify it, but did I have nervous moments? Absolutely, with everybody on that list. I mean, it's never over till it's over, and every time the phone rings, you just kind of wince a little bit and wonder what news you're about to be delivered. But those guys hung in there strong, and our staff did a great job.
And then for those who are obsessed with stars and rankings, you're not at the very top, even in Conference USA. What will you tell your fans, when they look and there you are at, on the lower half as opposed to in the upper half?
That stuff is, let me say this. I think those things are wonderful for fans who love their school and want to keep informed of what's happening. Now, how good or bad those players allegedly are, to me, is a stretch. So I've never been anywhere that really paid much attention to any of that. It's kind of how I was raised as a coach, that we do our best evaluation and find out who fits what we're looking for. Now, that being said, I'm not demeaning those people that work in that area. I think that's fine. I can just assure you that in 3 years, we'll see how good this class is. And I wish you guys would make me a promise. In 3 years, when I'm standing up here, you'll ask me about this class today, right? Say, and name these guys off, and then we can talk about it. So it's just a little far-fetched. And there are obvious guys out there that are slam dunk, no-brainer, couple years, first-round draft pick guys. I understand that. But once you get into everybody else, it's all about fit and what position you're looking for and those sorts of things.
What was Andy Dalton? Was he
low? It was like I don't know for a fact. I'd have to go back and look. But he didn't have but UTEP and TCU and maybe one other, New Mexico or somebody like that. So those kinds of things happen all the time. And I don't think that as coaches we certainly don't get caught up in what other people think of the guys that we're recruiting. And there's a million factors that go into all that kind of stuff. Guys commit someplace early and then shut recruiting off, so now people don't know who else really wanted them, which affected their ranking and all those kinds of things. So it's, again, I want to reiterate or repeat, I'm not denigrating what those people do. I'm just telling you, we don't. Those things are for fans, and I can assure the fans that they trust us with this program. We're awfully excited about the guys we're signing.
Coach, can you talk about your wide receiver play? And obviously, losing a guy like Marcus Rucker is really hard, but you do sign to junior college. Was wanting to have that experience at that position playing a factor into the way you recruited, or was that just kind of the faith that you have in your current squad right now?
Well, we felt like we needed some guys to come in at the skill positions in all and come play, have a chance to compete for jobs early. And wide receiver core was certainly it. Bringing Joe and Adrian in at semester has been huge for us. They've been working great. Joe can really run, and Adrian is a little bit bigger guy. So we just addressed the skill positions in general and said we've got to get faster. There's too many times that I was standing on the sidelines that we were insufficient at the skill positions from a speed aspect. And replacing Marcus Rucker is going to be difficult, but I look for the guys that are currently on our roster and the guys we're bringing in to go compete for playing time.
Justin, as you look at this class, you got 11 on offense, 9 on defense, 3 special teams guys. But as you build this program, is it just a matter of getting numbers in, as you mentioned, to promote the competition?
Well, I think you have to be careful because if you're just signing guys for numbers, then you can get yourself in a pickle down the road. But it is certainly a factor that we have got to increase our numbers, and I'm hopeful through retention and through continuing to sign guys, and through our signing class, I guess I should say, that we'll be back closer to the number. I think you'll continue to hear me over the next couple years talk about us, when asked about our numbers and that kind of stuff, talk about us being closer to full strength, but being really young for the next couple of years. Just a bulk of the classes are going to be fairly young. So I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that we'll be back closer to 85. We probably won't be there. We won't be there, but we'll be back much closer than we were last year. I don't want to tell you. It was low. It was pretty low. You bet. Thank you all.